My name is Nikki Birdie, and I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I am the co-founder and CEO of the Goody Two Shoes Foundation. The Goody Two Shoes Foundation provides disadvantaged children and children in crisis with new shoes and socks. We outfit between 10 and 11,000 children a year. My husband and I started the organization back in 2003 with the intent of just helping a few kids get new shoes. And it just basically grew and grew, and now we've outfitted over 111,000 kids in Clark County. I am a passionate, sort of fiery personality, I guess. I dig my heels in when I want to do something. I'm driven when I want to do something, but I am passionate about a lot of different things. I'm passionate about our foundation work. I'm passionate about being a good person. I'm passionate about encouraging my children to be good people. And so there's a lot of things that drive me. I think one of my most joyous memories, particularly in childhood, is I was incredibly close to my grandmother. And she used to surprise me by picking me up from school early, and then she would take me to the beach, and we would have a day at the beach. And I remember that, just that interaction and that excitement that was felt in doing that. And one of the things that she always did towards the end of the beach day, because she didn't want to get sand in her car, was she would take a beach bucket of water and carry it back to the car. And then I would dip my feet in it before I got in the car, and then she would dump the water out. And so that is a memory that stuck with me for a long time, that I actually initiated that process with my own children when they were small, and I assume that maybe when they get fully grown and married and have children, that might be something they do too. But that's a memory that I remember her doing that so many times. Those trips to the beach meant so much to me. And she's long passed away. She passed away when I was in 8th grade, but it's still a memory that I think about, and it brings me joy all the time to have that pop into my mind. Whenever I'm at a beach, I see a beach, or we're talking about a beach, that memory always pops into my head. I think the second memory that I have that brings me joy is my mother was notorious for bringing animals home to our acreage we had, and so periodically I would come home and there would be a new pony or a new horse. And I have two favorites, but one of my favorites was this painted pony that I named Wildfire, and he had one blue eye and one brown eye, and he would absolutely let me do anything to him, and I used to ride him into the lake or the pond and then just jump off of him into the water, and he would just stand there. And that was a great memory, and I think it also helped facilitate my love for horses. I've grown up with a love of horses. I married a city slicker who isn't so much into horses, but whenever I get the chance to go riding, or even when my boys were younger and I would take them riding, that was always something that brought me great joy. I think the link between those two memories that bring so much joy is the element of surprise and the element of just anticipation. I knew that if I was being called to the office per se, that my grandmother was there to pick me up, and she always took me to the beach. So it was that element of surprise and excitement and anticipation. And I think the same thing with the horses. I used to walk a long way down our lane to get where the bus dropped me off from school to there, but I walked along our pasture. So inevitably I would see the new pony or the new horse in the pasture before I would ever get home. And so by the time I got home and had the opportunity to have that conversation with my parents or my mom, or get out to the pen to see the horse, that was always the anticipation and the excitement of it. And so I think the thread through that is excitement and surprise. The element of surprise can definitely foster joy and lasting memories. That those are two things that I honestly hadn't thought about for a little bit, and then something will pop into my mind that sort of initiates that. Like I said, the beach, or if I see a horse or something, those memories come flooding back. Well, it's kind of crazy because I'm such a planner and I'm so logistically organized. I don't really like surprises or at least I don't think I like surprises in the realm of my work or what have you, but clearly I do like surprises. And a great example is last fall, my husband surprised me with a trip to Florida to go visit my family who I hadn't seen for a while. And the anticipation and the excitement after I knew that we were going, he told me in a very short window that we were going on this trip, the excitement of having that brought me great joy. I literally couldn't stop smiling. So I think for me, as much as I say I don't like surprises, I think I actually secretly love them. I think anticipation and surprise can easily be carried in a package. I think you can wrap that up in whatever you do for someone else. I think you have the opportunity. I mean, sometimes you get as much joy out of the element of surprise of trying to get a reaction out of someone else as you do when that reaction is, that opportunity for that reaction is given to you. So I think that many times we sort of forget that maybe there's a little kid in all of us, and we want that element of, I want to be surprised, I want to move beyond the normal mundane things that we do all a day, and it could be a small surprise or a small element of something that really just strikes you and you get sort of that tingly, happy feeling. Well, I'd like to think that we change children's lives by giving them a brand new pair of shoes and empowering them with choice. I think that's something that kids can carry forward, knowing that somebody cared about them and made a difference, and maybe it was just a pair of shoes, but in their mind that day, that memory, that moment, maybe that interaction is their beach experience or their horse experience or what have you. I also think that we change the lives of volunteers in the work that we do, and sometimes we don't think about that or realize that. And we've had a couple examples of situations where volunteers had come to us, and we've learned after the fact that what we were doing and their ability to help us and to spread joy through what we were doing created joy in their own lives and maybe redirected the trajectory they felt like they were on and inspired them to move their own lives in a different direction. So that can be quite impactful when you think about the fact that what you were doing to create joy for someone else really had a ripple effect, and then that joy found in that person rippled into another direction for them and the people that they love and the people that they care about. Well, joy is certainly, I think, something everybody strives for, is to feel happy and to find contentment. So often our lives are busy and hectic and we miss those moments, and it has to end up being some grand gesture to create joy. But I think if we slow down for a minute, there's joy in our everyday lives, and you just have to take a moment to acknowledge that. And I think the more you acknowledge it, the more you're in tune with it. And the more you're in tune with it, the more you can give it to other people. So in my life, I have two different, obviously, our foundation. So from that perspective, obviously, monetary support and donors is key to that organization being successful and being able to bring joy to children and do what we do. So that's that side of it. From a personal perspective, I find great joy in doing that, but for myself, I am a very creative person, and I would love to have more creative opportunity, and I would love to be able to force myself to sort of slow down and take those creative opportunities that sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't have time to do that. I love painting, I love writing, I'd love to be a screenwriter, I've written a couple books. I have a lot of creativity flowing out of me all the time, but sometimes it just gets lost in the busyness of life, and they are not, those things that I find great joy in are sometimes set aside for other avenues or other means, but I would like to have more creative opportunities in my life that give me that opportunity to dig into those sort of passions I have that often sort of are trickling under the water and don't always get to come to the surface. I'm a very scheduled person, so in all honesty, it's just a matter of convincing myself that I'm worth it and the time is worth it. Even if I were to just schedule in some creative time to sit down and pull out a canvas and do some painting, I think that would be great for me. But I don't do that because there's always something more pressing and something more important. Or at least in my mind, there's always something more pressing and more important. So I think it's taking the time for yourself and creating the space and giving yourself permission to find that joy in something that you, maybe it's not that time consuming, and maybe it's not as important as some other things you have to do, but if it gives you that creative opportunity to find joy, I think you should just do it.